I wrong for telling my boyfriend that his ex can't stay in our apartment? Boyfriend and I have been together for 3 years and lived together for the last 2. He's always insisted that he's still friends with his ex. They've known each other for years, even before they were together. And I've never had a problem with them meeting for coffee or staying in contact. Last week, his ex told him that she was coming to our city for work and asked if she could stay at our apartment for 2 nights to save money. He immediately agreed before even raising it with me, and when he told me about it, I said I wasn't comfortable with that. I reminded him that this wasn't just his home anymore. It was our home, and having his ex stay overnight felt like a bit of a boundary being crossed. He said I was acting insecure and nothing had ever happened between them since they broke up. I told him that I wasn't accusing either of them of cheating. I simply just didn't want his ex sleeping in our home. He said if I trusted him, then I wouldn't have a problem with it. And I told him that trust doesn't mean agreeing to every situation that makes you feel uncomfortable. Now he's saying I'm trying to control who he's being friends with. Well, I'm saying he should have at least discussed it with me before agreeing that she could stay. Am I wrong for not wanting his ex to stay in our home? Okay, so my take is I don't think she's wrong for saying no. I think the important distinction is that she's not saying he can't be friends with his ex. She's objecting to having someone stay in their shared home overnight without being consulted first. Even if the ex is generally still a friend and there's nothing romantic going on, inviting someone to stay in the home that you share with a partner should be a mutual decision. But at the same time, I can understand why the boyfriend might be a bit frustrated if he genuinely sees his ex as a friend, and therefore believing that his girlfriend's discomfort is jealousy. Would she say the same if it was a male friend? But the bigger issue for me is he agreed it without speaking to his partner first. She's not asking him to stop being friends with his ex. She also doesn't have to be comfortable with her staying in their home. So no, I don't think she's wrong. But I do think they need to agree on some boundaries around opposite-sex friendships and overnight guests. Am I wrong for telling my sister her husband had a right to leave after she got an abortion? Well, I've been dragged into an argument involving my sister and her husband. Been married for years and always talked about having children. It was something they both agreed was part of their future. Then my sister unexpectedly became pregnant. Her husband was over the moon and wanted to keep the baby and started making plans. He thought this was finally the start of the family that they planned together. My sister, however, panicked. She decided she didn't want to be pregnant and chose to have an abortion. Her husband begged her to reconsider. He reminded her that having children had always been part of their plans, but she told him, my body, my choice. He eventually accepted he couldn't force her to continue a pregnancy. He also told her he couldn't stay in a marriage, where they no longer wanted the same future. A few months later, he moved out and filed for divorce. My sister says he abandoned her because she was struggling emotionally after the abortion. She insists if he really loved her, he would have stayed and supported her. During an argument, I told her she had absolutely every right to make that decision about her body, but her husband also had a right to decide that children was a deal breaker for him, especially when it has always been part of the agreed life plan. She called me heartless and said I was punishing her for exercising body autonomy. I told her nobody was punishing her, the choice was hers, but so was his decision about what he wanted from the marriage. Am I wrong for saying he had a right to leave?